Hello, folks, and welcome back to Zack and Riley Have a Theory. This is episode 2. I'm Zack.
I'm Riley.
And last week, Riley, what did we talk about?
Okay, so last week we dove into the mystery of the Dyatlov Pass incident, where there was a group of Soviet hikers that went out and never came back. They were all killed, and it was very gruesome and mysterious about how they were killed. We talked about UFOs, we talked about secret Soviet bomb experiments. We talked about the Russian Bigfoot, the Mank,
The
which I
main.
still think is a solid story. But yeah, we talked about that. It was a great episode. But now we are gonna maybe continue on some themes of Earth people, Zach. I think
Exactly.
you're gonna kind of take the reins of this one. But
Yes.
yeah, what are we gonna talk about?
Well, we have a great story today, and we're going to be talking about a couple different things, but mainly focusing on the region of the Mediterranean Sea. And we're going to
Mm.
go all the way from the depths of the ocean into the farthest reaches of caves underground and all the way up into the tallest mountains of the Himalayas. So, are you ready to go on this journey?
I am ready to go on this journey.
I love that. Yeah, put your beanie down a little bit more because you're going to need to strap in.
I was gonna say you Liz, and I'm like, it's gonna get chilly up in here.
It's
Which,
going to
by
get
the way, I survived being in the spooky shed, episode 1. I feel a lot less spooked out now, mostly because I have all the lights on. But Zach, where are you? Where are you?
I'm conducting some intense field research
Okay.
out in the spooky plains of South Carolina, and I have to be close to the ocean for this one,
Oh,
just in
okay.
case something tries to come out of the waves, you know. I'm kind of here to protect you if
I
that's
like
okay
the
with you.
Yeah, I like the dedication.
Yeah, of
All right, so
course.
let's get started.
All right, Riley, you have heard tales of Atlantis, I'm sure,
Yes.
but did you know that it is a story rooted in history? It goes all the way back to reports from Plato, the philosopher. He would write about a city of concentric circles. I believe there were 7 concentric circles that was far advanced in technology and culture and philosophy. And they were so advanced that they eventually drove themselves to destruction. And it said that the waves encircled the kingdom and overwhelmed the entire structure and drove it beneath the ocean. And the main thought around maybe what happened to Atlantis is still up for debate today. But let me show you a little picture here. This is a possible rendering of what Atlantis could have looked like. And
Very cool.
one thing that is consistent with these tales, though, is the fact that they were advanced, incredibly well versed in the ocean, right, and seafaring and navigation, and they were always it was always a mystery of what became of them and what happened. And now further down the line in history, there is another phenomena of people called the sea peoples, which is going to be in the Bronze Age. So we're talking, your classic picture of ancient Greeks and Egyptians. And the Egyptians were so grieved by these people that they inscribed them on their walls and on their temples.
Mm.
And I'm going to pull up a picture of the inscription now. So this is an inscription, right, of the sea peoples. They would roll up, they would wreck everybody, and then they would just disappear back in the ocean, basically like a whole civilization of pirates.
Dang.
And the thought is that maybe they are descendants of Atlanteans.
The Egyptian campaign against the Sea Peoples, which has been come to be known as the Battle of the Delta. Wow. So just to back up a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and so just actually to summarize what you're saying is Atlantis was destroyed. It's not like it's some underwater city that is like some magical city. It was an actual, what you're saying is like there's historical accounts of Atlantis just being a normal city, maybe somewhere near the water, and
Mhm.
then their civilization was destroyed, or their city was destroyed, and then these sea people might be Atlantean.
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly. So, this is all important for later. But just to keep a through line, this area of the Mediterranean always shrouded in mystery. So, a place that possibly could have developed as a landmass at around the same time Atlantis was supposedly destroyed is the island of Malta. Do you know where the island of Malta is?
Yeah, right off the coast of Italy, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
This is also so funny because Malta is where there's no tax on gambling earnings, and don't even ask how I know that, but
That's
maybe
suspicious.
I'm just gonna jump so far ahead and say maybe the current day Atlanteans just operate, like, online casinos out of Malta.
Well, they are described as a really, advanced civilization. So of course they would be in charge of gambling because that's kind of the end goal of civilization, really just to be able to throw your money away on whatever you wish. So, um
One
I
might say it's forming your own destruction, similar to
mm,
what they
the
did to their city.
Atlanteans brought their destruction upon their own
Yeah.
city in the same way. So Malta is home to some incredibly ancient structures.
Can
So
you
there's
pull
a
it up on Google Maps?
yeah, let me pull up a picture of some of these.
I'll see, like, how large Malta is.
Okay, let me pull up Malta on Google Maps.
Yeah, just in reference, because I don't know. To me, Malta seems like it's tiny.
So Malta is really small. In
Also, we
fact,
have to shout out the Disney Atlantis movie, which,
I
like, there's like a
truly misunderstood movie.
yeah, there's like a few Disney movies that had like a real like dark and brooding like vibe to them,
Mm,
and Atlantis is one of those. Treasure Planet is kind of like
mm,
that, you know?
mm,
Like there's this just like edgy aura to it, and you're like,
mm.
this is mine. Slow.
It's so teen, like early 2000s. Like I don't know if it is Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls, but they play a song that is supposed to be just like Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls in Treasure Planet, and it's just the greatest thing of all time. It's like no one ever understands me. I just want to go find treasure, and that is so true. That is so true.
Kind of want to just go find treasure. All right, so sorry. Go ahead.
So, as we can see, Malta, tiny, tiny, off the coast of Italy, but just as much really off the coast of the continent of Africa, right?
Yeah.
So pretty removed from most of the world. So now I'm going to show the cave or the temple in question, the ancient structure in question here is very shrouded in legends of these sea peoples, in legends of possible Atlanteans, right? So we have here a structure called can't pronounce it. Can't pronounce it. I'm gonna try. Here we go. Gontesia. Gontesia Zencroft. Yeah, yeah. And if you are a Maltese specialist, then thanks for watching the podcast, and you can correct us.
They're like, no, it's Gontesia. Like
Yeah,
you just told it.
I think
Wait,
you got it
so
right. Actually, first try. First try.
you're saying that Atlantis may have been destroyed at the same time that the landmass of Malta was being formed by like a volcano or something?
Yeah, so it's possibly the same underground event that caused Atlantis to sink, caused Malta to rise.
Whoa. Okay.
So these people could have migrated over to Malta and started their civilization anew there. But This structure dates back to around 3200 BC, which is a similar time frame to the sea peoples we have. And one thing to note, this name, Gontesia, is in fact translates to place of the giants.
Whoa.
And the sea peoples were described as exceedingly tall and mighty people. Now, if you're not familiar, there are many examples in history of giants and floods taking over the whole earth. It's in most religions and cultures.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, if there are multiple cultures and religions telling you that something happened, I think it's pretty likely that it happened. And I would love for giants to be real because I think that they have such a great thorough line in conspiracies
Uh-huh.
and in urban legends. And so we're going to talk about one particular story today, but that was all to set up that Atlanteans, the sea peoples, found their way to Malta, were giants, and created these structures. Now, what did they find when they went into these structures?
Ooh. Can
Here's our
I
story. Yeah.
how big are those like door frames there? Like
I mean, you can see on the left that little pylon for the electricity. I mean, that's probably pretty tall. You know, if there's a
yeah,
wire, it could be like head length. So if you imagine if that's like 10 feet, you know, those things are massive openings,
I
you
just
know?
think it's crazy. Like that's like those stones in the middle are like massive stones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just the yeah, I mean just this whole thing we see something like this and we're like, "Oh yeah," but like they didn't have a Ford F-150, you
No,
know, to
no,
tow that thing. So,
no.
all
They
right,
couldn't
great
haul.
setup though. I'm very, very intrigued. So now we're gonna talk about giants. I do know a decent amount about giants, so very excited for this.
I'm good. I'm really excited because this is one of my favorite stories about giants that I've ever heard. Okay, so this is the interior of these caves and these temples. So they're not just above ground structures. They go down into the earth. Which if you listen to our podcast last week, you'll know that when anything goes down into the earth, something suspicious is going on. So here's where our story begins.
I'm just
Okay.
waiting for like a drogger to step out of one of those and like this just looks straight up from Skyrim.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I
my
mean, you're gonna find a
nerdy top
spell
of
at
the
the end of this
yeah.
and hopefully some good gold in a chest, you know? So in the Ganteja temples, they are some of the oldest ruins in the world. And so there's speculation that Malta is a much older civilization, right? Like we talked about their connections to possibly Atlantis. And so the Ganteja, the direct translation is giant tower. And in Maltese folklore, giants are said to have built the temples. So our story begins here with a woman named Lois Jessup. Okay. Um, she was a British embassy worker in Malta, and she wrote of an account that she had inside this temple. She described that on her first visit, she convinced the guide to allow her to investigate one of the burial chambers near the floor of the last chamber in the lower level. In her own words, she asked, "What's down there?" and pointed to the floor to a small opening off the walls. The guide replied, "Go there at your own risk and you won't go far." And she said, "I was wearing a dress with a long sash that day, and as I decided to lead the group, I asked the fellow behind me to hold on to it. So, with half-burnt candles in our hands, the four of us started through that low, narrow passage, laughing our way as we walked through the tunnel. I came out first, of course, onto a ledge pathway only 2 feet wide, with a sheer drop of 50 feet or more on my right and the wall on my left. I took a step forward, keeping close to the rock wall side. The person behind me, still holding onto my sash, was still in the tunnel. I held my candle higher and peered down into the abyss, thinking that this dangerous drop was probably not something I would want to be near without a guide. Then I saw about 20 persons of larger stature emerge from an opening deep below me. They were walking in single file along another narrow ledge down below. Their height I judged to be about 10 to 15 feet, since their heads came up about halfway on the wall on the opposite side of the cave. They walked very slowly, taking long strides. Then they all stopped, turned, and raised their heads in my direction. All simultaneously raised their hands and beckoned to me. The movement was something like snatching or feeling for something as the palms of their hands were turned down. Now, my friends pulled me back into reality. Through a sudden draft of air extinguished her candle, making me panic. A few days later, one of my friends recalled the excursion to me and said, "Remember that tunnel that we explored? Well, it said here in the local paper that a schoolmaster and 30 students went exploring and apparently got as far as we got. They were roped together with the end of the rope tied to the opening of the cave. As the last student turned the corner where your candle blew out, the rope was clean cut. None of the party was found because the walls caved in. Apparently, for several weeks, the cries of children could be heard emanating from underground, but none were ever recovered alive. The men that found the entrance to this temple were workers who were conducting plumbing underneath a house. And they opened through the floor to find this opening down leading into the temple. And after this occurrence happened, they boarded it up, and to this day, it is illegal to enter into the temple without special scientific governmental approval. So there's our story, right? And we're going to dig in to maybe what this could mean. Okay. So, Riley, what do you think about that so far? What are your thoughts?
Dang, it's definitely creepy. It's interesting and creepy. So what was the time period that this British ambassador
This
was in
was in
Malta?
the early like 30s. This was
Okay,
in
and so
like the
that was like
20s
her
and 30s.
account, like her journal account.
Yeah.
And so she goes down, she's like visiting this temple because it's like a known thing that this temple exists.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, what's that like and like what's that like hole in the floor as like they get further in? And the guy's like, don't go in there. And she's like, yo, let me go in there. And he's like, okay. And so then she goes in with like 3 other people. And then she like turns a corner and it's like a ledge that she's standing on and there's a drop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And does she see people below her or from
It's on the
across?
opposite side and a little below her. Yeah.
Okay. And so she thinks that they're like 10 feet tall and they all
Mm-hmm.
like walk out and they go like this or something. And then they like look up and then her candle goes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then, so the school things did that happen after her or before?
Yeah. That happened like the week after uh she went in.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So I'm just wondering, like, why they would all like come out and like show themselves to
Right.
her,
Right.
and then
Well,
it's
they're probably
just
just walking by, you know? They're probably just walking by and they're like, "What's that? What's that up there?" And of course they're reaching out, you know?
yeah. You would think like if it's like a giant, if there's like a bunch of giants down there, like, do they not want to be? If they don't want to be found, then like, why was it so easy to get there? You know,
Mm. Mhm. Well, who says they don't wanna be found, you know? They might. They might not know anything that's going on above ground, you know?
that's true. I think it's
Weird.
crazy. There's like a huge. I wish that there were more pictures of the caves because like that's crazy that there's this huge like drop. Like that indicates like maybe there's more to the temple than we even heard about. But
Mhm.
clearly there is because there's like people coming from the other side. Even if they weren't giants and she just saw regular people, it's like, well, what are they doing down there? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
gambling.
Well,
That's what it is, dude. This is just a big.
setting up their casinos, of
They're like
course.
It's like 4 dudes, like, carrying, like, a new slot machine in to the
They're like,
floor, and they're like
"Oh, hey, what's up?" And
Yeah.
then they're like, "That you're not the gambling commissioner, are you?" And
Yeah,
then
exactly.
her candle
Our
blew out.
license expired
Yeah.
4,000 years ago.
They were like, "We sunk the whole place just to get away, and now I gotta go and come down here."
Right.
Um, okay. So what's weird about this story, aside from obviously 30 missing school children and the creepy guys down there, is that there are a lot of instances of stories just like this found inscribed on temple walls and in scrolls and old guys rambling in the corner of some lost pub, of giants underground, which I think doesn't really make a lot of sense. Why would giants be underground? They're going to hit their head on the ceiling all the time, you know? Doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense. But it's
Well,
consistent.
now
And
it makes you wonder, like, I mean, it's kind of like the ocean where, like, we've just barely explored the ocean. I mean, the
Mhm,
Earth is, like, huge and, we don't know. I mean, just with, like, LiDAR technology, we're seeing a lot more, like, stuff underneath the pyramids and stuff.
mm,
Like, I wonder just how much exists that we don't know below us, and maybe there are, like, huge spaces where giants can exist and
mhm.
play craps and blackjack and stuff,
Yeah.
but
One of my favorite things online that I've seen is, like, the theory that all historical structures are actually a lot bigger. They're just underground.
Mhm.
Have you ever seen a picture like this where it's, like, the White House or, like, the Capitol building, and then, like, below ground, it shows, like, a 3 times larger structure? And it's like,
Yeah,
why would that
yeah,
ever happen in America? I could get it. I could see the Colosseum or something being, like, a lot bigger underground, but you know, they it's like one of my favorite things, but it goes back to giants, like, having built everything, and that everything's actually a lot bigger, right?
mhm,
But here's where we're taking another journey, because the peoples of Nepal, which is where the Himalayan mountains are, describe legends of similar figures that are tall, and they come from caves. They're called rolangs, okay?
mhm,
So Rolangs are classified as, like, undead. Like, they're kinda described as, like, your typical, like, zombie, you know?
mhm,
Like, when you think about what, like, your classic Hollywood zombie, they're kinda hunching. They don't really have good control over their body. Rolangs are like that, and that's where we get that from. In fact, the people of Tibet will build their doorways a little bit shorter than normal so that Rolangs would smack their head on it, and you wouldn't be able to walk through. Um, so these tunnels under Malta and these caves up in the Himalayas are indeed connected by what many would call, and what I have called, Agartha, which is the concept that the earth has these tunnels through it and is mostly hollow at the middle. But it's funny because the same religious doctrine that talks about Agartha is a Hindu doctrine that connects to these tunnels in Malta, because it's the same concept. And it's just interesting to see these across the world. I mean, that's like, think of the elevation change there. It's so different. It's so different. And it's really fascinating. Like, climbers in the Himalayas will report, like, when they get lost, they report having these hallucinations of these creatures like Rolangs that will guide them back to where they need to go. And they'll, like, keep them alive. And the Sherpas on the mountain will be like, "Yeah, like, that's the spirits of the mountain. Like, they are guiding you." And another name for Rolangs, where they're commonly associated with, are Yetis. So now we have circled back all the way to the Mank
yes.
with the Russian Bigfoot slash Yeti creature from last week.
So it's like they fall within, like, the cryptid category.
Yes, but there's a little bit more historical and religious evidence for these. Like, it's not like it's not like, well, Mothman wasn't quite
Yeah,
made up, I
it's a
guess, but
cryptid.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah. I think
yeah.
it's interesting that so many cultures have myths or tales about giants. But I
Mhm.
also do wonder if that's just kind of an easy thing to think up. Like,
Mm.
like there's like telling tales of people from far away that are 10 feet tall. I feel like that's maybe something that's easy to think through. But then when you start to, add more and more detail to some of these accounts, it does make things interesting.
Mhm.
With things under earth, I mean, like Nepal, that's so interesting. I feel like they definitely know something they're not telling us over there.
Mhm.
Do you think that the like tunnel is there are we talking like underground network of tunnels that connects the whole earth, or are we talking like there's just a subterranean kind of element to earth that we don't haven't fully explored, and
Yeah,
there's
let
like
me
all
let me show you this great image. It kind of explains it all in really clear detail. I mean, clearly you can see that there's a sun in the
okay,
middle.
wait, pause, hang on. I don't like the direction this is going. Agartha, land of advanced races. Zach, if we're going on race science here,
Well,
you might need to go on a different podcast.
that this we're gonna have to say we're gonna put up a disclaimer that we do not believe any of the theories that we are discussing.
Like,
And
what
let
the
me tell
heck?
you,
Okay, Agartha, land of advanced races, but then there's the cave city of the semi-advanced race. We put them over there. They kind of hang out. Then there's the saucer of Venus. You can
yeah,
think
right.
I've got
So
some stolen sauces. So fun.
this is like a schizo. This is like the schizo image
Yeah,
where
dude.
it has like all
Some
of the
dude drew this on
crazy.
a subway chair.
I think this is from the back of a subway chair. Yeah. Um, well, obviously, I mean, like, it's funny they have even like measurements on the bottom, like scale and miles. Like, this can't be scientific at all. There's
Yo,
no
Mike.
way. I mean, you're you're drawing a flying saucer to Venus, and then also at the bottom, you're like, oh yeah, this is the sediments, this is the granite, the basalt, and the plastic basalt, of course.
Yeah, plastic basalt. So, okay, what are we looking at?
Okay, really quick, I'll give you a little bit of what we're looking at. I'm not an expert, thankfully, but they believe that in the center of the earth, it's hollow, and that the surface is connected by tunnels. So if you see here, Kentucky Mammoth Cave up here, I have been to the Kentucky Mammoth Cave, and they wouldn't let me go find Agartha, unfortunately. Actually, it is illegal to go in most caves in the United States.
Did you
It's
ask
actually
about a to the one of the
yeah, I
associates?
said,
Hey man,
what's the way to the city of Shambhala?" And he was like, looked at me funny. I don't know why. That was weird. I know
he
he
must
just knew the truth. He was just trying to throw me off the trail.
he must
So
just know. He might be semi-advanced race affiliated. Not
probably. I mean, this goes into lizard people and like all of it. So like, this is really the thing that ties it all together. In fact, the Nazis sent a lot of expeditions into the Himalayas and Antarctica in order to find these tunnels. Like they officially said it. They were like, "We're gonna find Agartha," which is crazy.
yeah.
And I guess the goal is to escape Earth with the flying saucer to Venus. So maybe that was an end of war exit strategy. They were like, "All right, how do we get out of this?" I know. We go to the center of the Earth and then into space, which really, not a bad plan. Not a bad plan. But yeah, we've kind of gotten uh into an area that may be a little too deep for us to cover the rest of this episode. But hopefully a lot to chew on there.
Yeah, I really I mean, I feel like we could spend so much time on and any of that,
Mm.
but I love the story. Also, didn't you were recently you were over in Europe, gosh, what,
Mm.
like a year ago,
Mhm, mhm.
and you went to some caves, didn't you? Like a
I
temple?
did. Alright, this is a great story. Similar, in fact,
And do you have
to
pictures?
I do. Let me
Can you
find
pull up
those.
or can you pull up just like a picture of where you went? Because I remember you telling me this, and even that was just kinda spooky.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that, like, we're, like, just still discovering while you're pulling it up, like,
Mhm,
the fact that we're still discovering these caves and, like, that is just wild, like, in places that have been around for a really long time,
mhm.
you'd think that we would, like, know if something exists, but then you kinda, like, have to get somebody who can do the, like, imaging and,
Yeah.
the LiDAR and all that kinda stuff, and it's not like we're just, like, walking around the earth with, like, a LiDAR detector,
Right.
if that's even what it's called, but, I mean, this yeah. So, you were what was it, Italy?
This is Italy. Yeah, this is, underneath a town called Orvieto, and the people that dug these tunnels are older than the Romans, the Etruscans, the
Oh,
Etruscan.
Etruscan war vessel.
Exactly, exactly. So, I was looking for an Etruscan war vessel to, make everything complete in my life, and we went to this restaurant, and they were like we finished our meal, and it was, like, honestly a really mid meal. It was not good, but it was really expensive. And I guess the waiter felt bad for us because he knew it wasn't so good, and he leaned over to me and he goes, "Do you wanna see our tunnels?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I wanna see the tunnels." And so he's like, "Alright, alright." And so he leads us down into this wine cellar, which was built in the Renaissance, he said. And a lot of the wine is still corked, and a lot of it is still original. He was like, "Alright, but that's not really the end." And he led us down even further into the Etruscan area, and he was like, "The Etruscans built this." And he was like, "Alright, have fun." And he walked back up the stairs. And so me and my friends were left to wander around these caves. And as you can see, like, they would, like, build things. Like, this was sophisticated underground work, like
Yeah, I
this.
mean, like, we haven't even talked about, they're, like, digging and, like, chiseling stone, I guess,
Mhm,
like,
mhm.
I mean, if you asked your average person to do this, like, chisel out, like a new, like, dining room under your house, which
Yeah, where do you
essentially
even start?
like,
Like, no
yeah,
way.
this is just crazy. Now there's, like, creepy faces. They're just
Yeah,
showing
that was
off.
freaky. They were all over the place, and it was really scary, and so, like, we're getting this air of kinda like, "Okay, this is sketchy," like, there's one up there, and the the guy is gone, right? And there's this hallway that's leading off that's not lit. There's no light bulbs down there, there's no nothing, and I decide I'm gonna go down the hallway. And so I jumped over the chain and I start walking through, which is really, could have been dangerous with like rock falls and all that, but it didn't matter to me.
Yeah, you
And at
didn't
the
have a sash, like,
I didn't have
along
a sash. I didn't have my candle and sash to
yeah.
be safe. But so I walked through to the end of this hallway, and at the end is another chamber that sort of is down recessed into the ground further. And so I step down and it gets really cold all of a sudden. And there is a stone table in the middle of this room, and it's a round room, and the stone table is round, and I thought to myself, "What do I do?" And I had my flashlight out, and I thought to myself, "I need to turn my flashlight off," which I had never done anything like this in my life, and I turned the flashlight off, and I was like, "I need to walk around the stone table,"
Dude, don't
and so
walk around a stone table, what the heck?
it was like I couldn't leave the room without doing this, like, genuinely. And so I start walking around the stone table and I make it to the end and I stop at the very last step and I got this feeling like I mentioned it was really cold. Well, it was starting to feel really cold like inside. And then I genuinely sprinted out of the room. I ran away back to my friends and I was like, guys, you have to come see this room. You have to come check this out. And they came to the mouth of the room. I got them to come to the start of the room. They were like, "We're not going in there," and so they didn't go in, and then we left. That is one of those moments that I like. That story was one of the wildest, like, internal feelings I've ever had. It was really creepy. But yeah, there's
I
something about caves. There's something about caves.
I just wonder like what they used that room for. You didn't get any more pictures of these caves, did you?
Well, it's funny you say that actually, because in the Airbnb we were staying at, we were actually the lady who owned the Airbnb didn't speak any English, and when she welcomed us in, she was like, "Oh yeah, like have you seen the cave?" Like she like made out like, "Have you seen the cave?" And we were like, "What cave?" And in our Airbnb, there's like a little courtyard outside the house, and then like a door in the wall of the mountain. And she was like, "Yeah, yeah, this is the cave that we like to have people stay in." And I gotta
We like to have
here we
people
go.
stay in. It's like
She was like, people like to have parties.
one guest
And
per group to
look,
the
they got like deck chairs and picnic tables
shoot.
in there. It's like a big cave, dude.
Dude, you could fit so many slot machines in there.
Exactly. And the game, and no one would know. No one would know. This is why the giants are in here. But she was like, this section right here was really tall. See, like you can see up into it,
Yeah.
right? And she's like, sacrifices. And we were like,
No.
huh? And she's like, sacrifices for moon god. And we were like,
Bro,
no.
look, I'll mess with the rain god, I'll mess with the tree god, but if we're talking moon god,
Not the moon
I'm out,
god,
bro.
bro.
No, I'm
And
out.
like what? Why would she tell us that? You know? And I think, yeah, I think that Orvieto's a really cool place, but there's something weird going on underground.
Dude,
You know, and that's the moral of
just
the
imagine,
episode. Stay above
just
ground.
wait,
So,
go back to
which picture?
that there. No, that one. Imagine eating a Culver's double butter burger with cheese at the moon god sacrifice circle.
This is where I'm posting from if you even care. You know?
Like, you wouldn't understand. Yeah, exactly. Like if I make it big, I won't tell anyone, but there will be signs. Okay, so like just to like that's so interesting. That's so interesting. Also, the fact that they're just like all over the city
Mm-hmm.
is wild. They're probably all connected,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But back to that story with like Malta and Atlantis. Well, one, like Atlantis probably existed in what form or fashion we don't know. But I do
Mm-hmm.
know that Atlantis has been recorded significantly. I'm just I'm just wondering like with giants like I feel like it's one of those things that people could like I said could have just made up.
Mm.
But then you
But it's
never
in
know.
every culture, you know?
Why would they be underground though? Like
That's the thing that doesn't make sense to me. But there's so many stories of them being underground, and I think that's odd. Like maybe our Disney imagination of giants has them being like above ground, but really in reality they've always been underground. You know, and just the movies and books we've read have fed into our perception of what giants really are. You know,
you know what? You know what it is? You know what it is?
what?
It the people tried to, kill all the giants and they had to
Hmm.
retreat underground. Then there's going to be a giant who's like, "No, dad, I want to go to the surface." He's like, "You can't." Like, and then flashback to like long ago, like our people were hunted down and killed. And then, the giant goes on the surface up to
Hmm.
the place you were at. To
Yeah,
one of the, and meets like a non-giant and
he
lives
falls in
happily.
love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
And-
Ratatouille. Like,
yeah,
like,
I would love
it's,
to see the gambling version of Ratatouille
it's like,
where
yeah, like I want to
he gets
operate a
really
casino.
good at playing cards. Yeah.
Like I want to operate a casino on the surface, Dad. It's like, no, but operating a cave casino is your dream, son. No, Dad,
Everyone's got
that's your
operated
dream.
casino.
Huh?
the last 5,000 years, your father, your grandfather have all
Yeah.
operated cave casino.
Yeah. It's your dream. No, Dad, that's your dream. Anyways, yeah, I mean, what else is lurking underneath too? I mean, if realistically, like, it's not out of the question if giants do exist. I'm sure that like people tried to like eradicate them because they felt in danger, right? People were a lot less tolerant and accepting, 2,000, 3,000 plus years ago. But it makes you wonder, like, do they have like other homies down there that like gnomes or like there's definitely accounts of gnomes. Like gnomes are not just like something that somebody came up with.
No,
But
no.
yeah.
So I think, well, it's fascinating because a lot of people think that the flood made the earth less inhabitable for giants. So, like, that's why they died off because they were used to things being, the right size, and then the sea levels rose, and then everything just sort of like scrunched in on them, and they couldn't sustain that, you know?
Yeah.
But, you
Interesting.
know,
Yeah. I mean, there's at this point it's like there's just so much evidence that points to like some kind of cataclysmic event. There's flood narratives in virtually every religious text that's ancient. Like that could be that is like a really interesting theory.
mhm,
Way back, like you could do a whole episode on like what are the sons of um or no the daughters of Earth married like the sons of
yeah. The Nephilim in Genesis 3.
the Nephilim, but they're called like the sons of something. Um,
The,
let me
yeah, it was the sons of angels and the daughters of Eve.
sons of
I think
God. That's what
the
it
sons
was.
of God. That's it.
So there's Genesis 6 describes the sons of God taking the daughters of men as wives, which leads to the birth of the Nephilim.
Mhm. Which are so those are 2 different things, the sons of
The
God and the
Nephilim
Nephilim.
they're described as heroes of old men of renown, and you know, could they have been giants who, that's just crazy because that is what does that mean? The sun.
Yeah, yeah.
So, dude, great story. Like some really good stories. Love the personal tie-in too to the cave. Yeah, just really love that. I would say if anyone, whoever's watching, if you want us to cover anything, I mean, we're definitely gearing up for a big JFK series that Zach's gonna do.
Yeah,
Like that'll
yeah.
probably be like a 2 or 3 episode series. We might do like the moon landing. That's one I want to do.
Oh, that's
Uh,
good.
well, I think uh, there was another one. Oh, there's just last night I was looking up some like more obscure UFO like stories
Mm,
like just different ones that like you haven't necessarily heard of. So we might do like a UFO type episode and like the classifications of aliens, like talk about like grays and greens and stuff. Whatever anyone wants to hear, we're here to cover. But Zach, what do you want to leave us with? What do you want us to think about over the next week?
what I want you to think about for this next week, is you have the chance to go underground. Will you take it? That's what I want you to know. That's what I want you to think about. Alright?
Yeah, and if you need help with gambling,
Yeah.
there's numbers you can call. I don't know what the underground
But cell service doesn't work underground, that's how they get you.
dude, they might not let us release this, man. Might stop us. Big cave gambling might stop us.
They know you can't get help underground. Man. Awesome. Well, I'm Zach, that's Riley, and we had a theory,
We
and
had a
we'll see you
theory.
next